Thank you. I have a t-shirt that says, I didn't invent the internet and I didn't invent the web, okay? I think I'm here because I've done a lot in my career to help people explore and build things on the internet and the web. Can you see the slides? No. Yes, good. I've got a few slides, but only because I want to show you some graphs and some maps. Supposed to move that on? It's not working, folks? Oh, good, right, okay. So, in a longer talk, I would build up to this. This is the story of the web from when Tim put the first website up until 2015. The red line is the number of estimated internet users across the world. The blue line is the number of internet nodes. The green line's Facebook. The purple line's Twitter. And of course, right at the beginning, I guess there was a point when Tim was the only person on the web. There must have been a singularity at that point, Tim. Then he lost it. No. This is an amazing story, and I use this graph to teach from a lot. Because as we built up the whole idea of studying the web as a socio-technical phenomenon, and the web science discipline, this is the sort of graphs I use to explain to the students how once upon a time there was no web. We had a dot-com boom and bust, and it's obvious when you look at the tech overlay on this that we didn't get Wi-Fi and broadband until the turn of the century, 2000. Nobody had computers in their homes, so the idea of running, and the web was a bit slow then because the internet wasn't as fast as we have today, and it used to chug through and it would crash halfway through loading a picture. It wasn't really a hugely great environment for shopping. That all changed as we got computers in the home and faster broadband, and we got Wi-Fi. Google doesn't emerge until 10 years after the web, and we were talking about that at the Doug event yesterday about search and cataloging and how we evolved the way to find things on the web. And then, of course, initially, although Tim's vision was this would be a read-write medium, initially people got onto the web through just looking at it and following links. It was easy. But as the browsers evolved and we started getting blogs and people started putting their pictures and their videos up, so the social networks evolved. And the Facebook phenomenon starts in 2004, and you see the liftoff as the web goes mobile. There's a famous English comedian, Stephen Fry, who famously tweeted in the summer of July 2007 that he was stuck in an elevator. And the only way he could have done that was because he just picked up his mobile phone, his Apple iPhone. He's a great early adopter. And you see that the takeoff as we're now in a world which is, we worry about what's happening to our children and what to ourselves as we're constantly, I'm sure most of you are looking at your phone, hopefully tweeting about this event or doing your email or whatever takes your fancy on the phone. And so many more of these phenomena have emerged. There's a bit of a delay, a bit of a latency. Here we are. It gets a bit complicated at that point. So many other things have emerged. And we know there's more people around the world getting onto the internet. We seem to have, as Tim says, reached the 50-50 moment. Some things get rejected. Google Glass was an example of a wonderful technology that was rejected for social reasons. And people, the whole point of this, what we're studying here, is that this works on a network effect. The more people that use something, the more people use it. So the Googles and the Amazons and the Ubers and all the other, the Facebooks, they collect more and more people as more and more people get onto it. We have classical, wonderful things like Wikipedia that are run as not-for-profits, but these other companies are for-profit, and we drown in advertising, and we've got the bullying and the trolling, and we've got the attacks on democracy, and all these things that's really behind why we're here today. I hardly touched that then. Okay, so I go to China a lot. My thesis in this talk is that we have a big elephant in this room, and it's called China. And I was working with my friends at Tsinghua University, and they produced a graph similar to the one that I just showed you, that I've been using to talk about the internet from a Western perspective. This was the growth of the web in China. Phenomenal growth. These numbers are just for China, whereas the previous one was for the whole world through a Western lens. This is China through a Chinese lens, same sorts of companies. Baidu's their search engine. We had RenRen and we had Sina Weibo. And then now everybody, if you go to China, everybody uses WeChat, a sort of a WhatsApp. The Chinese government killed microblogging because they made it a crime to lie on the internet. Just think about that. And in China, if there's no appeal court, you're just off. So it's a much more controlled environment, as we know. But the growth, and I mean, you have in China 1.3 billion people using this environment to live their lives. Now, this is a map of the internet in terms of the darker the blue, the higher the percentage of the population uses the internet. Right, so you can see where we still have the 50% to come. I just want to take you through. We've just published a paper, Kieran Ho-Ha and I, on the Centre for CIGI, International Governance Innovation, and on the geopolitics of digital governance. And we've been looking at this map and thinking about have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yeah. Okay, so you know then that actually we're all an experiment run by the white mice. So my theory is the white mice decided we wanted an open free internet and a web on it, and we'll see what happened. We've run a global experiment and we found out it wasn't all good because people do bad stuff. And if you're given them an open system, they can do bad stuff on an open system. So the white mice are running 3 more experiments now. The first one in the States, oh come on, there we are. Market force led. This is where all the big companies are, the monopolies, oligopolies, right? They all sit, and in the UK we worry about how we tax Google. Google doesn't worry about that too much. Amazon, and we just had the figures for our retail, there's nobody going into the shops on the high street in the UK. It's falling all the time. We all buy online a lot through Amazon. And how does this operate in a global environment? You have similar companies, big companies in China, and the US, market force led. It's very lobby led. The government is guided by the chief execs, or lobbied by the chief execs of the big companies. And survival of the fittest works as ever. Now, Europe has taken a different approach. It will come up. Europe's gone for data protection in a big way. Right? This is the second experiment, or third if you count the open internet as the first experiment. This is the third experiment where Europe's gone for data protection. And if you're going to trade in Europe digitally, you have to comply. Who actually checks on that compliance? And European companies have to comply, they'll be checked on. Who checks on the rest of the world? It's laudable what's happening with GDPR, but what's that going to do to the EU economy? Right? This is a big question, and I know sitting there, Doug Searles knows a lot more about this than I do. Then the fourth experiment is China. China's gone for authoritarian control and surveillance. You know, face recognition on CCTV cameras as well, social credit rating. Anybody who trades digitally in China has to accept that their data is going to be monitored by the government. They're looking for subversion. They're looking for people who are complaining about the government. But people are happily online in China, WeChatting away, using their mobile phones to buy goods, 1.3 million people. And actually, in some ways, it's safer to be on the internet in China than it is in the West, because less crime happens, because the criminals get picked up quicker. Is that convenience versus civil liberties? How do we have that debate? And then you've got the Russians, who are, we call them spoilers in the paper, they're hacking away, trying to maybe bring down the systems, either through attacking our democratic functions or our infrastructure. Now, we reached the 50-50 moment, but look at the people that have got to come on the internet. They're largely in rural China, rural India, and rural Africa. Who's going to govern their internets? India, interesting middle ground. Here's the figures of the number of people in North and South America and Europe. India has the Aadhaar. They're very much going towards control, knowing what people are doing on the internet through the unique ID. And then you've got China bringing online Africa, because most of the infrastructure that's going into Africa is coming through China. You've got vast numbers of people to come online. My thesis is we cannot ignore this. When Tim at the Olympics pressed that tweet and said, this is for everyone, it's for everyone. And I don't think we can talk about a people-centered internet unless we include the whole world. So bringing the world to the table, and that's why I was so happy to see Doreen, the head of the ITU, bringing people that want to talk about human rights on the internet across the world to the table, I think is so important, and we ignore it at our peril. Thank you.